On North America's East Coast, a hidden world of insects helps farmers grow their crops. Hardworking honeybees carry pollen between flowers. And monarch butterflies undergo a life-altering metamorphosis. On the jagged coast of Canada's eastern shore, a delicate and diverse ecosystem thrives on the fringes of the continent. Welcome to the Wild, Wild East. Nova Scotia's Annapolis Valley is the agricultural capital of the Wild, Wild East. This low-lying area has a microclimate all of its own. Two large hills to the north and to the south shelter it from the harsh climate of the Atlantic Ocean. Here, spring starts earlier and the summer is warmer. Good weather and the land's sediment-rich soil create an environment perfect for farming. For 500 years, industrious farmers have toiled these lands, their crops feeding generations here and around the world. But they haven't done it alone. Wildlife works hand in hand with humans to shape the farmland of the Annapolis Valley. Barn swallows are true country dwellers. Occupying barns and stables, they nest exclusively in man-made shelters across the world. Up in the rafters, they mold together their cup-shaped nest with mud and grass. Farmers welcome these birds. Barn swallows help cultivate their fields. They keep insects that damage crops at bay, like grasshoppers. Hummingbirds do their part too, traveling from flower to flower, eating nectar and spreading pollen. Along the way, they suck down sugar water from bird feeders left out by friendly farmers. Both sugar water and nectar help hummingbirds fuel their rapid wing movement. They actually prefer the sugar water because it's higher in calories. But once they're in the area, they do their part to pollinate flowers too. This apple orchard would never bear fruit without the birds and the bees. These are honeybees. Unlike their bumblebee cousins, honeybees don't build the structures that house their hives. Instead, they seek out pre-existing shelters, like dead hollow trees, or in this case, boxes placed here by the farmers of the Annapolis Valley. They build perfectly symmetrical wax honeycombs inside. It's only springtime, but the colony's already hard at work preparing for winter. Bees need to make enough honey to make it through the winter, and to do so, they gather nectar from nearby flowers. A scout arrives back at the nest. She squirms with excitement to tell her co-workers what she's found. Honeybees have remarkable communication methods. This is the waggle dance. It's how a honeybee gives directions. The intricate abdominal movements convey where the food source is relative to the sun. Up means go toward the sun. Down means travel the other direction. This bee is saying fly toward the sun and then take a left. The duration of the dance tells the other bees how far to go. Pointed in the right direction, the honeybees follow their instructions to find a nearby apple orchard. The bees are collecting two things, nectar and pollen. And these apple blossoms are chock full of the main ingredient in honey, nectar. This sugary fluid attracts bees and other pollinators. It is part of an important give and take between the plant and the bee. Bees suck up nectar through their proboscis, then store it in a special honey stomach to transport back to the hive. As they feed, pollen from the flower will stick to them. In flight, bees comb off the pollen and stuff it in the yellow pouch on their legs, called a pollen basket. Any unpacked pollen brushes off the bee as they visit other blossoms. This pollinates or fertilizes the flower, which will then produce an apple. Apple blossoms bloom for just over a week, so the industrious bees have to act quickly. A bee will visit hundreds of flowers before her honey stomach is full and she returns to the hive. One hive can pollinate an apple orchard the size of a football field in a single day. By summertime, the apple blossoms are gone from the Annapolis Valley, and bees have moved on to other flowers. When the summer arrives, it brings a seasonal visitor to the wild, wild east: the monarch butterfly. The journey begins when milkweed, the monarch's main fuel plant, begins to emerge. Monarchs feed on the milkweed's nectar and use its leaves to feed their young. This monarch's ancestry stretches all the way to Mexico. 3 generations have passed in less than a year. Their genealogy is a consequence of the monarch butterfly's amazing migration. In March, the monarch butterflies in Mexico begin their journey north. A single butterfly lives for about 6 weeks before stopping to lay eggs, and then dying shortly after. After a 3-week period, a new adult monarch butterfly will emerge and continue north in search of milkweed. The journey is like a relay race, and it's brought this monarch butterfly all the way to the Annapolis Valley. In the fall, the final generation to be born from this year's migration will make the long journey south. Back at the hive, a forager returns with a full pollen basket. The other bees will help her unpack. They stuff the pollen down into cells of the hive and mix it with nectar and saliva to create bee bread. This is the bee's superfood, loaded with carbohydrates, protein, and all the other nutrients needed to keep energy up as they work from sun up to sundown. When bees arrive back at the hive, they pump the nectar they've collected out of their honey stomach directly into another bee's mouth to mix it with enzymes. Once it's been twice consumed, they pour the nectar into cells. As the water density in the nectar drops, it thickens and turns into honey. When it's ready, bees seal the cells to keep their honey fresh until the hive needs it. There are between 30 and 60,000 bees in a colony, and the female worker bees make up 99% of the hive. Worker bees have different roles in the hive, depending on their age. The youngest bees clean the hive and care for the larvae, feeding them honey. The next job up the age ladder is a construction worker, building the hive's infrastructure. Honeycombs are made from a wax that seeps out of the glands located on the bee's abdomen. As the bee gets older, it undertakes a variety of other duties, like bringing water from outside, where it evaporates and cools down the hive. or fanning the surroundings with their wings to improve ventilation inside. Worker bees also serve as the hive's bouncers, controlling who's allowed to enter. Honeybees recognize their own colony by scent. This bee is from another hive, so the two security guards are trying to chase it away. The oldest worker bees are foragers. They are responsible for traveling outside the hive to gather nectar and pollen. Bees live for only a month, and in this time, a bee goes through each of these jobs one by one until they die of old age. It looks like a painful death, but the dead bees will continue to serve a purpose. The approaching ant serves its own colony of insects. It will relay the dying bee's whereabouts to its members, who will return to carry it off for dinner. Even in death, the bee plays an important part in the food web of the Annapolis Valley. Back inside the hive, the circle of life keeps on spinning. The colony's queen has just laid these eggs. She's the mother of everyone in the colony. The one and only queen bee. Her scent draws flocks of workers toward her. The other bees are hardwired to serve her. She has the most important job in the hive, replenishing the workforce. A queen bee can live until she's 5 years old and lay up to 1 million eggs in her lifetime. But she only mates for a short period of time, a few days after she's born, coupling with 12 to 15 different males. The queen then preserves up to 6 million sperm inside her for the rest of her life. She uses these sperm periodically to fertilize eggs before laying them in a cell. These bees with the big eyes are the males, called drones. Their only job is to mate with the queen. New queens are only born when the old queen dies, so drones most often mate with virgin queens from other colonies. If they are unsuccessful, drones will die virgins and be chased out of the hive so no precious honey is wasted feeding them. And there's one more worker looking after this hive, the beekeeper. These workers are part of an ancient tradition. Beekeeping instructions can be found scrawled across the walls of the Egyptian pyramids. This is called a frame hive. Inside, bees construct their honeycombs between removable panels. Beekeepers have a symbiotic relationship with the hive. The beekeepers transport the bees to fields blooming with flowers, where the bees can collect nectar to make honey. In return, beekeepers take a portion of the bees' honey and also sell their services to local farmers looking to pollinate crops, such as apple orchards. Beekeepers use a smoker to suppress the alarm pheromone produced by workers guarding the hive. This allows the beekeeper to retrieve honey and check in on the larvae bees, the next generation of his workforce. Back in the wild fields of the Annapolis Valley, a monarch butterfly's egg has hatched and matured into a hungry caterpillar. Right now, it's preparing to turn into a butterfly by eating as much as it possibly can. Increasing its mass to fuel an amazing transformation. It's been alive for more than 2 weeks and has shed 4 layers of skin while growing. Today, it's 3,000 times larger than when it hatched. The only thing monarch caterpillars eat is milkweed. There are over 100 species of milkweed spread across North America. Insects love it, but milkweed is toxic to most birds and mammals. You are what you eat, so monarch caterpillars also become poisonous to a lot of predators. As they consume more of the toxic plant, the caterpillars develop bright, contrasting colors. These stripes are a warning to predators. Eating this caterpillar could kill them. When the caterpillar matures into a butterfly, it will still carry this poisonous trait. So, the milkweed is both a food source and protector. After up to 3 weeks of gorging itself, this caterpillar has finally had its fill. It now seeks out a horizontal branch to support its transformation. From its lower lip, the caterpillar spits out a silk similar to a spider's and creates a mat on the branch. Then its 2 back prow legs merge together to create a twig-like appendage. The conjoined prow legs have minuscule hooks that latch onto the silk mat like Velcro. Finally, it's ready to hang, and the metamorphosis begins. Once its skin begins to peel, it's only a couple of minutes before it sheds its 5th and final layer of caterpillar skin. The pale exoskeleton is not a cocoon. Moths spin cocoons out of silk. Butterflies emerge from a hard exoskeleton called a chrysalis. As the chrysalis gyrates, it fights to shed the last remnants of its youth. In the warm summer, it will take 7 to 10 days for the adult monarch to emerge and fly through these fields. Its chrysalis is now transparent, and the butterfly inside is ready to emerge. During its transformation, the cells that make up the caterpillar's body broke down into a soup. Then the individual cells morphed into this new form. Once emerged, the butterfly hangs like this for several hours, until the outside of its wings fill with blood, dry, and stiffen up, all in preparation for flight. This winter monarch butterfly emerging in October, will live up to 7 months, 6 times longer than the summer monarch. It will live in a state of suspended adolescence to conserve energy for its journey south. The butterfly will traverse the entire continent. It won't reach sexual maturity until, having spent the winter in Mexico, it arrives back in the southern United States the following April. Weathering storms and dodging windshields, the monarch will face a number of risks on its journey south. Inevitably, they won't all make it. Fortunately, the population is self-sustaining. Each northward migration greatly increases the monarch's numbers again, as female butterflies will lay numerous eggs. When the cool air begins to blow through the valley, it means the end of the season's milkweed bloom, and so it's time for the newly emerged monarchs to leave. Back at the hive, another new life is beginning. 21 days ago, this bee was just an egg. 11 days later, she was a larva sealed in a cell who underwent her own transformation. Now she's fighting her way free, struggling to join her sisters. And finally, she emerges and goes straight to work. The cycle continues on inside and outside the hive. Now that it's fall, the apples are in full bloom. Fittingly, these are called honeycrisps. They are just one of the 35 different types of apples grown here in the Annapolis Valley. All pollinated by a healthy population of honeybees. From a bird's eye view, the Annapolis Valley is a patchwork of farmers' fields. A closer look reveals a hidden universe where wildlife and humans work together, undergoing incredible journeys and amazing transformations. Soon, winter will fall across the valley, and the colors will fade. The bees will brave the winter here, huddled in their hives, surviving on their honey. The monarch butterflies will be long gone, roosting down south in Mexico. Come spring, plants and animals will wait, and the cycle will begin again. Life continues anew in the wild, wild east. When wildlife and humans face off in the big city, raccoons invade backyards. Snakes annex an historic landmark. Gulls come to blows over a slice of pizza, and a city park is transformed into a wrestling ring. On the jagged coast of Canada's eastern shore, a delicate and diverse ecosystem thrives on the fringes of the continent. Welcome to the Wild, Wild East. Eastern Canada's largest city may seem like an unusual place for wildlife. But Halifax is an unusual city. Animals travel here from the shoreline and the forest. Deer, raccoons, chipmunks, gulls, and even snakes make their homes amongst urban sprawl. These crafty critters find plenty of advantages to life in the city. The urban environment offers a near-perfect mix of protection, food, and shelter. But life in the big city isn't cheap. Living here costs some animals their lives. Humans are the apex predators here. Traffic, urban sprawl, and pest control all threaten the animal's survival. To survive, the animals must be smart. Using speed, camouflage, flight, and foraging under the moonlight, wildlife makes the most of city life. Crows gather in the hundreds to share intel about food sources and unfriendly faces across the city. Raccoons den in attics high off the ground, only coming out at night when their downstairs neighbors are fast asleep. In the city, these buildings are like the raised cliffs of islands, sheltering the birds from nearby predators. Though we may not see it, wildlife is always watching us. This is the city, seen through the animal's eyes. As a new morning dawns over the Halifax harbor, commuters rush to work, distracted by business meetings and lunch dates. It's easy to miss what's hidden high up in the trees, but if you look hard enough, a masked bandit looks back. Raccoons are everywhere in Halifax. For every one in the woods, there are at least 10 in an urban environment the same size. That means in the city, there could be up to 50 raccoons per square kilometer. Raccoons are even living in people's houses, transforming an attic into a den. And unbeknownst to the homeowners, these kits were born here last spring. It's fall now, and the kits are 6 months old. Like all raccoon moms, she's a single mother, bringing up her litter all on her own. She teaches by example. The kits shadow her on foraging trips as their senses develop. Though they have good night vision, raccoons are thought to be colorblind and have trouble seeing long distances. Their other senses are more attuned. Raccoons' hearing is so strong, their ears can pick up an earthworm squirming underground. And their noses help them navigate undetected while the city sleeps, catching whiffs of potential food or the scent markings of other raccoons. But their most important sense by far is touch. Raccoons see with their hands. 2/3 of the sensory receptors in a raccoon's brain are used to process tactile information, more than any other animal. Raccoons will rub their food before consuming it, gaining information about what they're about to eat. And they're able to find insects simply by digging their paws deep into the garden. In the wild, raccoons need to escape ambushes from bobcats and coyotes. But their greatest killer in the city? Traffic. It's mom's job to teach the young kids how to dodge dangers and find food. She's their protector until the young raccoons are 10 months old and ready to strike out on their own. Raccoons are nocturnal, so while they rest, the city begins its day. It's time for this furry family to nod off. In Halifax Harbor, historic George's Island. It's ruled by one of the world's most feared animals. Hidden in the untamed grass, the maritime garter snake. This military fortress was built in the 1700s to protect the young city of Halifax. After the Second World War, the fortress was abandoned, and the snakes seized control. On the mainland, the legend of Snake Island grew, with rumors of thousands of snakes. A scientific survey from 2006 clarifies the speculation, estimating that there are around 600 adult snakes here. Not many people visit the island, and even fewer see a snake, much to their relief. But if snakes can't be seen on George's Island, it's because they don't want to be. The cracks and crevices of the decaying fortress make perfect hiding spots. But when no humans are around, garter snakes lie out on the warm stones to regulate their body heat. The garter's diet is purely carnivorous, and they'll eat almost any living thing they can overpower. On George's Island, that means lots of insects. This ant is bringing back a dragonfly dinner for the colony. But if it's not careful, it might become a snake's snack. But the most plentiful item on the George's Island menu is escargot. Flicking out its tongue, the snake collects invisible scent particles in the air, transferring this data to an auxiliary scent organ on the roof of its mouth. Snakes primarily see the world through their tongues, and its forked tip expands their view. Garters were so named by North America's early settlers. Their scales resemble the woven ribbons worn by the people of the time to hold up their socks. They are the largest serpents in Nova Scotia and can grow as long as baseball bats. Underneath their scales, the snake's skeleton is made up of 200 vertebrae. Humans only have 33. Sandwiched between ribs and skin is a layer of muscle that gives the snake amazing control over its entire body. People have marveled for ages at the serpentine slither. How can a beast without limbs move with such precision? Snakes propel themselves by using their environment. They weave forward by pushing their bodies off rocks and plants. Slithering across open ground is a little trickier. In the same way hockey players dig their skates into the ice to push off, snakes use their overlapping scales to dig into the ground and push themselves forward. And because the scales all face the same direction, a snake can't move in reverse. Soon, winter will arrive, and the George's Island snakes will trade the warm stones for moist dens underneath the fortress. They don't hibernate, just severely limit their activity and huddle together for warmth. At the southern tip of Halifax Peninsula is Point Pleasant Park, a little piece of nature on the fringe of the urban landscape. This is the place urbanites go, expecting to see wildlife, like the black-capped chickadee, the North American red squirrel, or the eastern chipmunk. Feeders to decorate the paths draw out wildlife, and the well-fed critters have come to rely on the nuts and birdseed left out for them. They've adopted a new human-assisted foraging pattern. While it changes their natural behavior, It also means more animals are able to survive here. And for birds like the blue jay that forage year-round, it means a reliable meal during the harsh winter. Though managed by people, this forest is the stage for the natural dramas of life to unfold. The highly territorial squirrel watches on. As far as he's concerned, these nuts are his. He won't stand for this intrusion, not from the smaller chipmunk. With the squirrel moving in for the nuts, the chipmunk knows it's time to move on. But the approaching pigeons are way out of the squirrel's weight class. He'll have to wait. The squirrel moves back in for the nuts. But then, a twist. A new rival. In the city park, territories frequently overlap. Dust-ups like this one happen in the blink of an eye. As daylight begins to fade, the long workday comes to an end. But out above the harbor, a notorious bird shades the crimson sky. American crows are coming home to roost. Every night, hundreds of crows descend on this Halifax University. A mountain ash tree is the crows' cafeteria on campus. At this time of year, a good meal is hard to come by. Roosting in an area with an ample food supply means dinner and breakfast are secured. Crows thrive in the city because they're geniuses who use their surroundings to their advantage. To open nuts, crows will fly above city streets and drop them into traffic and let the cars be their nutcrackers. Once their meal is revealed, they will dodge cars to collect their meals from wheels. Crows can talk to each other too. They're able to communicate the location of food sources across the city. Crows have remarkable memories and never forget a face. When they've been chased away by humans, they'll actually warn other crows about the unfriendly human. A group of crows is called a murder. But often it's one big family, made up of 2 parents and up to 15 children born over the last 5 years. Once a male and female mate, they will most often be together for life. When the temperature begins to drop in the fall, the city's crow families join together to spend the night at a communal roost. Gathering in large numbers keeps them warm. And although they'll roost in the country too, they prefer the city. It's warmer than rural areas. The city life also offers another advantage for the crow. On-campus lampposts are nightlights. This helps them spot their greatest predator, the great horned owl. But with this many crows in one spot, he wouldn't dare attack. Crows ward off predators by mobbing them, cooperatively attacking the predator, like a scene straight out of a Hitchcock film. As the night wears on, crows swoop in from all directions, their numbers entering the hundreds. The roof of this university building is their final resting spot. This murder, silenced by the night. After a long day, the pulse of nightlife pounds through the streets. Locals call this intersection Pizza Corner. But as the humans stumble home, a new crowd is just waking up. Most people call them seagulls, but the proper name is gull. These highly adaptable birds can survive anywhere there's food. Until a century ago, that meant living near the water and preying on fish and crustaceans, so people gave them the nickname seagull. But they've found easier pickings inland. Their new foraging grounds include landfills, parking lots, and farmers' fields. There are over 50 different species of gull around the world. The two most common in North America are ring-billed and herring gulls. The best way to tell them apart is by the markings on their beaks. Ringbills have a black ring. Herring gulls have a red dot. This crowd is a mix of both. As the morning draws closer, more and more gulls descend on Pizza Corner. This nightly ritual is a blessing for the city sanitation crew. The gulls do most of their work. The number of gulls around the world has skyrocketed in recent years. In areas where food is abundant, they can double their population every 15 years. But gulls' increasing proximity to humans has made them more confident and more aggressive. Gulls are incredibly intelligent birds, and it may be hard to discern that they are actually communicating. Its long call tells the other gull it's not going to back down. He spreads out his wings as a warning. This gull won't hesitate to peck. But as more and more gulls swoop in, the feeding frenzy turns into a turf war. Gulls can be ruthless in their pursuit of food. When food is scarce, they'll even go as far as eating the young of their own species. Blowouts can leave gulls seriously injured. And this one now has a broken leg. Human intervention arrives on the scene, breaking up the gulls' brawling breakfast. Meanwhile, across the city, another nightly occurrence in a typical urban backyard. Raccoons' fur is camouflaged, helping them blend in to the backdrop of the night. Many people believe that raccoons are the genetic descendants of dogs, cats, or even bears, but they constitute their own species. Raccoons' genetic ancestors lived in the tropics of South America. 2.5 million years ago, they began to move north, evolving into the raccoons we know today. As the population of North America grew, raccoons began living closer to humans. Now, animal researchers believe that city raccoons are evolving again, adapting to their new urban environments. More than just instinct, their success here is because of their amazing problem-solving skills and memory. Here, there's more food and no natural predators. The raccoons are more fertile, have a greater survival rate, and are chunkier than their country cousins. And those marvelous hands are also quite dexterous, helping them open doors or break into garbage bins. But in the city, idle hands are the devil's playthings. With their cover blown, the raccoons move on to the next backyard. It's no wonder raccoons are generally seen as pests by their human counterparts. They even carry and spread harmful diseases like rabies and distemper. But as long as humans keep leaving out dinner, raccoons aren't going anywhere. Another day in the wild, wild east, and the routine begins again. Many think urban sprawl displaces wildlife. But the story is much more complicated. Animals are everywhere in the city, adapting their behavior to new surroundings. And in some cases, even changing it. Wildlife in the city can be messy or loud. But from the animals' point of view, they've got just as much right to be here as we do. They share our food, our streets, and even our homes. And someday, if city planners are mindful of nature's design, human and animal life may achieve harmony in Halifax. The city never sleeps in the wild, wild east.